Hello, guys. After that powerful session on innovation engineering with Dr. Iklak, now it's time to understand why your employees should be the first priority in your business. But before I announce the session, I want to tell you something very important. This year, though Thai Global Summit has gone virtual, but we have really taken care of the most important factor for any summit like this, which is networking. We know that this is your time where you want to find the next big investor who's going to invest in your idea. You want to find partners, alliances, make relationship, build relationships with the right people who can help you grow and help you achieve all your goals and dreams. That's why there are 6 specific networking sessions kept today. Coming up at 12 p.m. IST is the networking session hosted by Singapore, Japan, and Bangalore chapter in one room. And in the other room, we have a networking session hosted by Sydney, Coimbatore, and Rajasthan chapter. Also, requesting all the full access participants to please log on to the matchmaking software. Now, matchmaking software is a software specially created for this global summit. It is a AI powered matchmaking engine which will recommend you the suitable attendee to schedule your meeting. So kindly log on, complete the profile, and schedule the meeting with your fellow participants. Up next, I am going to announce the next keynote speech, which is on employee first and customers next. Customer first is what conventional management wisdom suggests. In the words of startup, paying customer is the king. Having scaled HCL from 0.7 billion to 4.7 billion dollars in revenue in only 8 years, Mr. Vineet Nair has made the agenda of keeping employees first and customers second. Anyone else in his shoes would have done the opposite, probably. What made him say that? Why is it that employees are the most important asset for any business? Well, we will find out in the next keynote speech by Mr. Vineet Nair. Mr. Vineet Nair is the former CEO of HCL Technologies and the founder of Sampark Foundation. He is also the author of the highly acclaimed management book, Employees First, Customer Second, Turning Conventional Management Upside Down. Welcome, sir. We welcome you at Thai Global Summit. Mr. Vineet, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for such a warm invitation. Good morning, good evening to everybody. It's a joy to be amongst you. The reason I say it's a joy to be amongst you is because all of you are aspiring, and whenever aspirations are high, achievements and performance will be higher for the country and for the business community in general. I'd like to start my keynote by asking a question in terms of when 9/11 happened. The number of airplanes in the air were very, very large. Most of the main runways were shut down, and the planes were asked to land on smaller runways, smaller airports. And the kind of ATC technicians had never ever handled this crisis ever in their life, and had never ever handled this volume ever in their life. And yet every single plane was landed faultlessly without any accident. How did that happen? And that question also begs the question in terms of why do some companies succeed and many other fail? Why do some of you succeed, some employees succeed and become CEOs or entrepreneurs or chairmen, and why many other fail? And the reason for that has to be found because in that answer is the answer to the question, how do I achieve my aspirations? In search of that answer, I will begin with the story of a young boy. That boy had only, unfortunately, one arm, and he had an aspirations of learning judo. And he went from one teacher to another teacher and asking each of these teachers to teach him judo. And every single teacher said, one-arm boys do not play judo. and therefore I cannot teach you judo. But a great entrepreneur is a guy who has aspirations which are higher than objections. And so was true with this 8-year-old boy. His aspirations were higher than the objections of the coaches. And he kept on searching till he found a coach who said, yes, I will teach you. The coach started teaching this young boy judo, and he entered a competition a few months later, and he won the first round, the second round, the semifinals, and then the finals, and had the trophy in his one arm. Everybody rushed to the coach and asked, how did you do this? And the coach said something which is, I think, the most important lesson for me in my life, is all of you saw what he did not have. And what I was seeing is what he had. In judo, there is an attacking move. The only counter to that move is to catch hold of the right arm of your opponent and spin him. Because my boy did not have a right arm, there was no counter to that move. And therefore, I taught him only one move, and he kept on scoring points. Friends, in life, success does not happen on its own. It has to be made to happen. And to make to happen, you have to start thinking outside the boundaries of logic and reason. When everybody else is saying no, you have to say yes. And learning the art of saying yes when everybody says no is the mantra for success. I'm going to talk about 2 case studies of my personal experience of how potentially you can think about revolutionizing, transforming your organizations and making them successful. The first was at HCL. In 2005, we were losing mind share, market share, and talent share. And the question for us was, how do we transform? How do we change the form of HCL and make it the world leader, make it the world beater? How do we inspire a set of people to be able to believe in the vision of transformation of HCL? We had 2 choices, as all of you have in your businesses. The choice of innovating and transforming what you do, which is products, prices, markets. There is enough management mantra and management literature written on what of the innovation. And many people have successfully been able to transform their organization on the what axis. But at HCL, our set of people thought that there is an interesting alternate axis which people are not thinking about, which is the how axis. The Japanese car makers, when they took over the car manufacturing industry as world global leaders, did not manufacture cars with 5 tires. They manufactured cars differently, Kaizen methodology, just-in-time inventory. So is there an opportunity for a cultural transformation at HCL, which could transform HCL and get us to the vision of a global dominance position, which we aspired to be? We asked ourselves 3 fundamental questions. What is the core business of any company, especially IT services company like HCL? And the answer was to create unique, differentiated value, to create unique, differentiated experiences for the customer. The second question is, where does this unique, differentiated value or experience get created for the customer? And the answer was, it gets created in the interface of the employee and the customer. And hence the third and the most important question. If employees are the differentiation, or if employees are creating the differentiation, which helps you grow faster, what should the role of managers and management be? And the obvious answer to that question was that the role of managers and management can be nothing but enthusing, encouraging, enabling those employees to create the value, differentiated value they're creating. And therefore invert the organization pyramid and make employees first in the business of management and customer second. So we inverted the organization pyramid. We made the management reporting to the employee. The employee did the appraisal of the CEO, me, and many other managers. And the results were published on the web to see. And there were many, many other initiatives taken to launch employees first, customers second. Our assumption was that if you increase the clock speed of the organization, if you increase the enthusiasm of the organization, if every single employee, which is 100,000 employees, start believing in the vision of the organization, if they start seeing their win in organizations win, then they will do stuff like climbing Mount Everest every day. This is exactly what happened. With the same product, the same pricing, the same market, these 100,000 employees transformed HCL to be a world beater. That was the first story. The second story is in 2013, I quit HCL because I, thanks to my mother, said that there comes a time in life where you have to say enough. You have had enough money. How much more can you earn? You had enough recognition. How much more can you get? And there comes a time in life where you need to give back to the society, not the money, but help in transforming the lives of many, many others who do not have the same opportunity as you. I also was a firm believer that the reason of my success and the reason of my wealth were the very people. It takes a village to build a person. So it was these very people who were left behind, and I had run ahead. But I would have not been able to run ahead without the village which surrounded me, which made it happen. And therefore, in 2013, I decided to quit all my corporate roles and dedicate myself to try and transform the education system in this country. And that is how Sampark Foundation was born. The idea in Sampark Foundation was that the learning outcome over the last 5 decades in our rural schools has only gone down. It has not gone up, despite the amount of investment in education having doubled. How do we transform this problem? There are 15 crore children in the system who cannot, 50-60% of them cannot count beyond 99, even in grade 5. If we do not solve this problem, then it will be the biggest disaster this country would be facing. So our democratic dividend is going to become its biggest challenge. So how do we bring innovation to this problem and how do we solve it? And we ask the same question. Where does learning outcome get created? We answer, the learning outcome gets created in the interface of the child and the teacher. Who creates the learning outcome? The learning outcome is only created by this teacher. Unfortunately, we have been criticizing this teacher. We have been beating up this teacher. So therefore, can we, by enthusing, encouraging, enabling this teacher, transform the learning outcome for these rural children? Thus, like employee first, can teachers first be the philosophy which could change the lives of many, many people? This philosophy combined with innovation like using an audio box, using Bollywood voice like Vidya Balan's Munna Bhai MBBS Good Morning Children, teaching children math, science, and English through songs and dance, and many other such innovation combined with extensive training of teachers and enthusing, encouraging, and enabling them has helped Sampark Foundation reach 84,000 schools today in 6 states and touch the lives of 1 crore children. And we have just begun. The learning outcome transformation, we have seen varied increase from 32% to 68% in different states. Once again, if you believe in the human mind and the human capability, then you will start solving problems which others consider impossible. Let me end this by 2 theoretical frameworks of why this topic is hugely relevant today. The first is that industrial age was the age for the first time we learned to organize people in rows and columns. And collectively, we could get more done from a group of people than we could get from an individual. If a set of 10 individuals could produce 10, organizing them in rows and columns in the industrial age, plus assisting them with machine, helped us get 100. And the management mantra of pyramid structures, annual appraisal, relative performance, bell curves are all traditional industrial age philosophies. Over the last 10 years or so, the industrial age has given up to what we call the digital age, where internet companies and technology has come in. And it has also given birth to a completely different set of employees who do not believe in the industrial age. And the mantra of success is no more productivity, efficiency, effectiveness. It is innovation. It is ideas. And ideas, not just one big ideas, but ideas on the periphery in the interface of the employee and the customer, innovation and the periphery, innovation on the side. And therefore, if you wish to build a successful organization, in the industrial age, you could through tremendous processes and systems. But in today's age, you will not be successful unless you make employee the center of your strategy. Unless you make employee the center of your enthusing, encouraging, enabling, he will not innovate. He will not find the motivation to innovate. And if he does not innovate, you will be an also ran company. You will not be a differentiated company. So that's the first theoretical framework of why you cannot ignore putting employee right in the center of your strategy. The second is a little more controversial, but I'm going to say it. There is a movie series in US, which I'm sure some of you, if not all of you, have seen. It is called Purge. The Purge was, I think it was launched in 2013, was a 24-hour or 12-hour holiday period where people could commit whatever crime they wished to and nothing would happen, which included killing each other. The movie series did very well, and the argument in that movie series was the fact that if you give people opportunity to bring out their animal instincts for 12-hour period, then for the rest of the year, you will have crime-free city. That was the premise of that movie, and that movie continues to do well. And there is another Purge series which is coming in July of 21. I believe whenever we face crises like the pandemic, COVID-19 crisis, a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of CEOs and a lot of leaders treat this as an opportunity to purge. They start sacking their people. They start cutting the salaries of people. They start treating employees as not human beings. And they started making a huge difference between themselves and the person who's working with them. That is wrong from two counts. Number one, the reason you are a CEO or the reason you are a manager or an entrepreneur is because many other people enabled you, and you should never ever forget it. And the second, for not doing this purge, is you must understand that only when you inspire people, only when you motivate people, like Mahatma Gandhi did, like Nelson Mandela did, would they follow you to climb Mount Everest every day. The only way to increase the aspiration of an organization to believe in the aspiration of the employee. And by only increasing the aspiration of the employee will the aspiration of the organization go up. This is logical. And therefore, all those people who are believe in this purge because they get this excuse of a 2013 financial market collapse, a 2008 financial market collapse, or COVID right now, don't do it, because employees will not forget you. And you will not be able to lead them in times of crisis. So let me end here by appealing to all of you that by thinking outside the boundaries of logic and reason, and thinking about cultural transformation of your organization, thinking about how you run your organization will result into creating the kind of value you have never ever seen below. Exactly the way you believe in your children, exactly the way you motivate them, exactly the way you inspire them to do stuff you have not done before is exactly the way you need to do it with your employees. And if you do it, your organization will be difficult to catch. by anybody else. So thank you once again for giving me this opportunity, and I'll be very happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Lot of questions, Vineet. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Um, Hello. Hello, all. I'm Sridhar, founder, controllers, and TGS chair. Vineet, pleasure to have you here. We have a lot of questions, but I picked one which is most relevant. COVID has changed organization leadership style a little bit. People are working remotely. Looks like it's going to stay like that for a while to come because even in our offices, we have decided that only 20, 30 people will go back to work even after vaccination, after everything is cleared up because we don't see productivity issues. Now, how does leadership change? Is everyone going to become individual contributors, or what do we need to make a change in our the managers and the leaders in day-to-day working going forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. And what we were doing is that we were rowing in still water before COVID. When you row in still water, coordination between team members is the most critical. And therefore, one guy is giving directions and everybody is rowing in synchronicity. Everybody is synchronous. Suddenly, the water has become turbulent and we are river rafting now. When you river raft, then you have to trust each other. It is not instruction based leadership, but it is trust based leadership. And everybody has to be inspired to do their bit so that the raft doesn't turn. So, the first principle for you all to understand is that during COVID times, the leadership style which is needed has dramatically changed. And therefore, if you try and adopt the physical, synchronous rowing style of a physical office into the Zoom office, you will be frustrated, your employee will be frustrated, and all of you will die a slow but a steady death. But if you radically change it and you say, because of Zoom, I can have sharper meetings, I can have specific meetings, I can have agenda led meetings, and I can trust the employees to finish the task he or she wants to complete, then you're going to have a different style of leadership. That's the first part of it. The second part is that every single employee on the Zoom call with you is frustrated, is anxious, is unhappy, and therefore start the call with the question, how are you today? How are you feeling today? Because in the end, you are a human being and much beyond the task. I believe that if you can emotively connect with the employee in the Zoom and define the aspirations and the goals you wish the employee to achieve, and leave him or her alone to achieve those goals, then your leadership style is more aligned to the COVID times rather than the non COVID times.
Got it, Vinay. Thank you. Thank you for that. I would start implementing the same right away. I do that a little bit, but I would make it a point to do that. And another question is, times have changed. I've seen it. I mean, in my 20 years of career so far, um, it used to be the relationship used to be a lot more family-like, and there was a bond, there was loyalty to each other while working in the organization. Slowly, it's going towards a bit of commoditized. Especially, we've been growing global all around, and there is hardly any connect. COVID has even more disrupted that, and you know, I could clearly see that it's getting more and more commoditized. And how do we, both sides, improve that situation?
I think the answer of so two things. First is whenever a diamond cutter looks at rough diamond, he gets excited because polished diamonds are not exciting. Whenever a potter looks at rough clay, he gets excited because he can make something out of
Make
rough clay.
something. Yeah.
Right? He's not excited with. So therefore, whenever this question which you are asking me, If I'm a leader, I'll get excited because I think I can solve it.
Yeah.
And my competition will die because they will not be able to solve it. So first is look at this change very positively as a great opportunity for leaders who can make a change. So that's the first aspect of it. Number two, you are absolutely right that because we are not face to face, our human connect is missing. And how do we bring the human connect back? So I have my own mantras of doing it. We get together on a Friday, sing song, means we sing together. We try and use on WhatsApp, share our commonalities together. We start every session by asking individual on how they are feeling. We spend the first 5 minutes telling jokes and laughing at each other. So we do all this stuff before we get to the serious stuff. We do all this stuff to ensure that we can, as much as possible, get to the human connect. You must understand the power of how are you today. So few people ask the question, but if you ask the question, how are you today? All that, so-called commoditization suddenly becomes personal. And maybe my answer is going to be, I'm fine today. But the very fact you asked, now I don't feel like an employee number. I don't feel like one additional person on the Zoom. At least I do this. Whoever is on my Zoom, I take my name. How are you, Siddharth? How are you, Shankar? How are you, Sonia? How are you? I go one by one. It takes 10, 15 minutes, but that's it. That is the way you connect. I truly believe it's a fantastic opportunities for leaders to experiment with new ideas. If you can break through and touch human lives and still personalize it in this commoditized time, you will create magic in your organization.
Amazing, amazing, Vineet. Thank you for that wisdom. We didn't know that you can sing too. Would you like to end a session with? I know time is up, but would you like to end a session with one song, one liner?
Sridhar, no, because I will sing for my employees and not for you. That is the exclusive for the employees.
Okay, okay. Some other time, Vinit, I will try to persuade you to do it. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, Vinit.
Thank you.
Pleasure, pleasure. Amazing.
Take care. Bye bye.